What up everybody, it's your boy Eka here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to today's filming tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at follow lines today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So before we actually get into editing the clip, let's go ahead and kind of break the clip down here real quick. So right off the bat, front board, nollie flip, nollie front 180, nose grind to fake a half cab out, and then nollie front blunt. Seems simple enough, yeah? No idea what happened there. But alright, let's go ahead and get into it. So, first thing we're going to do is, by hitting Y on our controller, that's going to turn the user interface on and off, right? Just like how we kind of covered in the last video. So, next we do is hit the left bumper to turn montage view on. So that way we're only editing the clip in the bracket and we're not having to worry about, going too far forward or not. So using right bumper and left and right on the D-pad to cycle through your keys, let's go to the very beginning key. And then by pressing X, we're going to hit the free camera. And then let's go into our camera settings and get the fisheye wide. There are some people that prefer the regular fisheye. This works with fisheye too, but I just prefer the fisheye wide. It's user preference, but this all translates universally the same. All right, so again, when we're doing follow lines, we want to do the same thing as we were doing in the last video when I talked about making sure our skater was kind of in the center frame when we explained the rule of thirds. Now, there was someone in my comments that addressed that how I was using the rule of thirds wasn't correct. It was more so just as a guideline, so that way those who don't know how to film or know anything about photography can use that as a reference point to at least keep their skater in center frame. That was really all the aim of what I was trying to explain in the last video with the rule of thirds portion. But I digress. So again, the main focus is you want to keep the skater as center in the camera as possible, but also at having as close as possible, because we want to see what the skater is doing, but we also want to be following this the entire time. So what I like to do first is set the first key point a little bit away from the skater, right? So let's start it off like right here for now, right? It's a good starting point. You don't want it too low to the ground where you're damn near on the ground. You want it to be just at about like knee level, right about there. Go ahead and turn on the user interface again. Right bumper down on the D-pad creates the you gotta switch the camera using left and right on the D-pad to switch your which keyframes you're editing. So when you have camera selected, right bumper down on the D-pad and creates your first keyframe. All right. So let's go ahead and zoom in on the clip by clip zooming right bumper and Y. So now that we have our first clip, let's go ahead and use the left and right triggers to scrub through the footage. So we're going to scrub forward a bit to, let's see where it's at here now. That's actually a good spot. So now, again, keeping the skater as centered in the frame as possible. And then right at about like knee to like mid shin height. That right there is the sweet spot at where you want your skater to be in your follow lines. Right there. Low enough to be focused on the board and the feet, but also just enough to see the skater in full frame in the center right there. You know what I mean? So when we go back, you see how smooth that looks? That's what we want right there. So now going forward, right, again, just like the last video, right at about the beginning of the pop is where you want the movement to be, right? So since we're here, we're going to be kind of just a bit behind, but also still kind of at an angle. Just like that, right? A little closer, right there. Boom. Just like that. You'll see it looks like we slow down a bit and then catch up. So that way, at the initial point of contact, when we move up to it, to about, say, right about here. And then the next point to here. And we're just going to break this down as to why we're doing it as such like this, right? Boom. So from the beginning, so you see how like smooth that looked? That's what we want when we're looking at, like, you know, a follow clip. That's the pocket. So moving forward, again, right at the peak of the initial pop. Not at the pop, but just before the pop, right? Just like that. And then in between, what you want to do, since we're a little too close, you go right at the middle point here, right? You pull back and then go up. And to do so, use the left stick to move your camera up, down, side to side, and then up and down on the D-pad to lower or raise your camera. That allows you to do like really finite like tweaks on camera height, just like that. And then right stick is to move your camera up, down, left, right, like look wise. Whereas the left stick is your camera positioning, right? So let's look at that again. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. So right here, right? Notice how the board isn't really, the board's kind of cut off, and then we have a really big gap on the top here, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to tilt that camera down as such, right there. So that way we start, because the main focus obviously is the skater, but the true focus is what the board is doing, right? So then right there, give it a little bit of a write off. That's kind of right where we want it. We're going to make that a little lower just to add a little more depth to it. Okay. So now, after the board slide, a little writing. Now here's something we can do. Notice how we look down and then a quick shift. So right here, right, we're going to kind of push it up a bit, just like that. And then coming down on the descent, right as the wheels touch, like that. So that way, when we look back at it, it looks like the camera moves up and down with the skater. Little details like that is going to make your clip go a long way. The next crucial key point is right there. So if we zoom all the way over there, notice how it's right just at the pop, right? That's kind of where we want for, again, that's kind of what we want for follow lines. So now, again, middle point. Since our skater is pushing, we're going to pull back, up a bit, and then turn to where the skater is mostly in the center, but not fully in the center. And here's why. So notice how our skater lands. And see how quick that jump up is. So now what we're going to do is we're going to also pull that back to about here. Just like that. Push up. That way when it lands, it's a lot smoother. See how much smoother that looked? We gave the skater room to push. Then we come back in. So right here, again. We'll pull back a bit, right to about there. Beautiful. So it's okay if the skater's cut out at the top here for this part. Because again, we're more so just looking at the board and everything else that's going on. So then right here. Forward. Up to about that height. Ooh, right there. Yeah. Oh, that looks so nice. And then again, kind of the same thing when we do when we're putting key points at the pop. We're kind of going to do the same thing right at the pop out of the grind here, right? Move down, move down, move down. To about here. Right. Oh, that's too close. Right there. So that when we see it all together after the push. See how clean that looks already? So from there, all we're going to do, right there, that's going to be the next one. right. Cool. Down just a bit, but not too much, right? Just enough. Right there. Cool. That way the camera movement. Ooh, that was so nice. So let's look at that at slow-mo. That is exactly what we're looking for in our follow-ups. Subtle camera movement to add emphasis to the tricks that are being done. So now that we're here, one push there, and that's going to be our next key point right here. We're going to give him some space. Come out about here. Aha, see? And this is why. Here. To about here is where we set the middle key point. Remember how this is like evenly spaced out, just like how we did earlier? So, let's see how this looks. Oh yeah, much better. So that way, space to push, and it starts to come back in. Right there is the next key point. And all the way here. Drop down, not too low, just right there. Oh yeah, that's very nice. And then the next key point. This is now here's where the details really matter in your camera movement, because this is when the camera is your follower, your filmer is slowing down and getting the last trick, and you want to put as much emphasis on the last trick as possible just by the camera movement. So right at about here, right? So we're going to tilt the camera, raise the camera up and scoot in right till about, raise it up again a little bit more to like right there. Let's see how that looks. Alright, so good movement on the upwards, but now we gotta kind of go in more. So we're gonna go into about here. A little too much. Back. Tap down 3 times. Yeah, then right here. Zoom in, back down, just like that. Kind of push forward. No, that's a little too much. See how this looks so far. Yeah, that's good. And then right as you land, y'all, give it a little bit of right away. So about here. Pull back just a smidge, just like that, right? So see how that right there is just too fast? So now what we're going to do is we're going to let that right out a bit to about here. At the same point, set another key point at the same position that we just did the last one. Move to the previous one, and then by still holding the right bumper, pressing up, we'll delete it. Now, see how much smoother that looks? And then last but not least, the finishing touch is the camera that moves down and kind of tilts as such. And to tilt, you just hold the right bumper and use left and right trigger to roll the camera to one side or the other. As such, let that ride just a little bit. And boom. And then once you set your final key point, you're then going to hold right bumper and then click left thumbstick down, or left thumbstick in. You click it in to trim the last of it, or set in your clip end. So now we hit the left D-pad to go to time of day, just to quickly move from to the last key point to the beginning key point, moving back to camera by pressing right on the D-pad. Now what we're going to do is do the same thing with the camera roll, but we're going to do it at the beginning. So we're going to move it, roll it to the left a bit, And then the second keyframe, we're going to roll to the right just a bit, just to make it look a little more natural, right? And then we're going to now sift through these key points and add a little camera roll to add a little realistic movement to it. And it's just adding little bits at a time, like not even doing like crazy dramatic movements with it. It's just the little details. And then now again, let's go to camera shake, left bumper, and then or right bumper, then hitting left on the D-pad, taking us to the beginning. And then we don't need to do crazy stuff with the camera shake. We could just go to hitting left or right bumper allows you to select how much you want to add. So we just go 10, 4, give it 14 on the camera shake, and then yeah, we pretty much have our line right here. Once I'm in my mode, yeah, it's a wrap. All they really worried about is if the beat slap. If you're still sleeping on me, wake up from your nap, cause this is just a throwaway. Yeah, it's just a scrap. So yeah, that's basically it, everybody. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. Let me know if these tutorials were helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down below. And as always, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And yeah, all that good stuff. With that being said, much love, y'all. Peace out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.